Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world of Wayne. We're now going to be doing pack 11 or box 11 of the Agora Models release of Bismarck, the legendary battleship. Now, pack 11 consists of stages 117 all the way to 128. So pack 12 will be the last 12 stages we've got of this. And there is quite a lot to do in this stage. Now, this was filmed over a period of several days. In fact, stages 126 and 127 was filmed live to a community. So I've edited that down for this video so you can see what I've done. Now, if you want to get hold of this yourself, I have put the link in the video description there. You can get this all the way from pack 1, and over at the Agora Models website now you've got such things as the Leopard tank, the Super Snake, the Cobra, the Terminator, the Zero Fighter, the Routemaster bus, the New York fire truck. Oh, and there's loads. Go and check that site out. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this. Settle down, get yourself a cup of tea. It's going to be a long video, but it's certainly making the battleship come along. So without further ado, let's get cracking. So this is what the motor looks like, and all we've got to do is just unravel this wire here, and then we're going to be putting a sticker on it which says C6. Get that opened up there, and again all we're doing is we're putting this sticker on just so we can locate the label, so it doesn't have to be perfect on that. I can see that that says C6 there. Now we're going to be taking this cog and it's going to be fitting on. The instructions are quite deceiving actually. It looks like they want us to put it on this way. But when you look at the finished result, no, they actually want us to put it on this way with the large section pointing down. So it's going to go on just like that. And then this whole motor is going to go underneath the Caesar 38cm gun here. Now I'm trying to position this so I'm not going to break any of the details, but it's going to interlock with the motor or the cog that we've got there in there like that, and it's going to be held in with some flange screws which are PWB screws. This is the second screw going on here. Very hard to do because obviously you don't want to break any of the deck details on top. But we did manage it without breaking anything. So that looks like that from that side. If I turn it upside down, as you can see, the motor's in place now. So what I can do is just put this deck back on here, just to keep everything safe. Bring over the ship again. Quite simply, this is just going to go on the end here. So the first screw I'm going to put through, just one of the silver screws there, which is one of the 2x4mm screws, just through the centre. And that's going to hold that into place. And then we've got these two tabs to put on there. They are labelled left and right. Want the left one first because I'm going to be working on the port side. And these just go on, this side here will go onto the down lug. And this one here is going to go onto the one just to the side. So this is going to go on like this, holding everything together. And I will try and use my big screwdriver for this. So one down here, that's going to hold that into place. And then I will get one, hopefully, into this side. Because it's got a long shaft, this screwdriver. As you can see, I can actually use it, which is quite handy. So then we're just going to do the right side with the yards. Make sure you put it in the right way. It's going to go in like that. One screw down the top. It's going to hold that into place. And then finally, the last screw of the hole. Oh, it's sad. I'm actually sad to see this end here. There we go. That is the hull completed. Now in stage 119 we get a circuit board, but we don't actually do anything with it in this stage. So I've got the deck here, and once again I'm going to use my foam little jig I've got here, so I should be able to turn this upside down just like that without basically mucking around with any of the details on the other side and making them spring loose. Now in the magazine they're telling you to put the support brackets that the ship was on so you can work that way, but I find it a lot more comfortable to work this way for me. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be taking the cable C5, which is this one here. That's going to pass through the center loop here. This is all about wire tidy that we're doing now. So that one's through like that. We're also going to be running cables C6, C7, C8 and C9 for exactly the same point there. So I'll get these open. This one is C7. Just like that. We got C6, which is this big ribbon cable. And that one's through. And we got C8. And finally C9. I'm just going to turn this round so it's the same way as the pictures there. And we can see some slots just in here. These are going to be for cables C1, C2 and C3. So this one here is C2. And that one's in like that. C1 will be next to it. And then C3 is this ribbon cable here. That's just going to go into the far ends there, just to keep those all into place like that. Now on the other side here we're going to have C8, 9 and 10. Now what I'm going to do, because it is getting a bit confusing, I'm just going to put a wire tidy just around these cables that I put through the center, because it is getting confusing with the ones that I'm working with at the moment. So I've got that here. I'll just twist that and that will ensure that they're all kept together in one place. Now just where we've put C1, put C2 back in there, C2 and C3 on this side over here we're going to be putting 8, 9 and 10. So this one is number 10 and that's in there. Then we want to gather together labels 5, 6 and 7. So that's 7, that's 6, this one's 5. And they're going to be going towards the back. So I'm just going to pin them just underneath this section here for a second. Just so they're away from the cables that we've got in this area here. Now the reason for that is we're about to put the circuit board on top of this section here. Now they are all labelled. We need to make sure that the numbers 11 and 12 are on this side. So when this goes on top, it's going to fit over just like that. Now that's going to be held in with some screws. And they are 2 times 6mm screws. Now these are the longer black screws here. So I'll get these all in. That's one. Number 2. And then we'll do the 2 just on the other corners. Now it's a case of just putting the corresponding leads into the corresponding ports that they're going to go into. So making sure they're in all the way. I've got C8 is going to match C8. And we just repeat that for all the numbers. Telling you, tweezers are your friend on that. But that's all of those in. The only ones we haven't connected are 11 and 12 over here. Now we're going to be testing these. So we're going to be taking the battery pack and the tester board that we've been using before. Plug these in. And we're going to be plugging the vacant socket here into port 11. I'm going to turn that round and we're going to try some of these electrics. So as you can see, it's doing a test for the gun straight away just by turning it on. It's going all the way in one direction. And then it will take itself all the way back there. So the first button that we're going to press is the top one on the remote control here, this one at the top here, and then that's going to, as you can see, turn and fire the turrets there. Now to stop that, just press number 1 again. And then that's just going to do... just trying to see where I can stop it. As a matter of fact, when I stop it, it actually stops off to one direction. So I'm going to have to leave it there for the minute. Okay, the next one down, number 2, is going to test the two 15cm guns on the side there. So as you can see, they're turning. The third one's going to turn the spotlights on. So we've got one that side, and we've got one on the other side there. And then the last one, just turn that off, should do the radar. As you can see, that's turning absolutely perfect. So that was a successful test. I'll stop the radar. 15cm guns still continue wanting to go off at the moment, so let's turn them off. There you go. But that's a successful test, and that's all we have to do in that stage. And I'm going to bring over the ship now, so hopefully you can see inside the section that I'm going to be working on here. Now these are labelled left and right. This is the port side, this is the starboard side. So the left one is going to go on the port side here, and the right side is going to go on the other side. Oops, wrong way around here. Now they're going to be held in with 2 times 4mm screws. That's just the smaller screws that we can see here, the smaller silver ones. So that's 1. 2. Number 3. And number 4. We then want to take the starboard propeller. Now the propellers are labelled in the middle of this part here. This one says L, so that's the port side. The starboard one here is labelled R in the middle, so we know that's the starboard side. Now they are going to want me to put some super glue on the brackets here for when we mount this, but I'm going to put it in first just to see how that looks. So if you look at the picture, it's actually going to slot from the outside, and it's going to go all the way through just like that. Now it's fitting absolutely perfect, so all I need to do is just make sure that I glue the bracket in that you can probably see on the side camera just about there into the holes that we've got just underneath this section here. Before I do that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the actual frame of the propeller in first, so I know that's sitting right before I start gluing things. Now once again, that's going to be held in one of the 2.4mm screws. So it is better to attach this first, I reckon, before you start gluing the other panel in place. Then I will apply some glue just to the ends of the brackets here. 1, 2. And I'll ensure that that is attached to the bottom section of the hole where there are 2 holes. Holding that for a second, and that's that side in. Now in a similar fashion, we're going to be doing exactly the same thing to the port side. And I don't know if you can see this on any camera, but I'm going to lift this up for the side camera. As you can see, the 2 propellers are now in place. Now we want to make sure these propellers are as fully forward as we can possibly get them, because then we're going to be pinning them down with some 3mm screws into the little holes that we've got just into the section here, and one on the other side here. Now these cables do have a little metal sheath. What we want to do is make sure that the metal sheath that we've got on the cable is going towards the propeller, and then we want to push the lead up as far as we can get it. So all we can see on the propeller is the metal sheath and the propeller itself. And I'm going to lock that in with a 3mm screw. Now probably best to look at the pictures for that. Now just mirroring exactly what we've done there, we're going to be putting the central propeller in, which looks like that. So once again, this is just going to go into the hole here, all the way up, put everything together. I know this is pretty impossible to see, but we want to hold the central propeller just in from this side here with a screw. And once again, that's a 2 times 4mm screw, which I've got here. Get that lined up, and then screw that in as tight as you can get it.
Once again, we want to push the metal plate here right up to the base of the propeller, and then we're going to hold that into place with this little clip here. So that's just going to go over the top, just like that, and that's going to be held in with 2 times 4mm screws. Now this is just keeping that metal plate tight to the propeller. It's not keeping the actual propeller tight, because the cable that you can see here is free to move in and out. Now eventually this is going to be spinning to spin the propellers. The only other thing we have to do then is we've got a motor here. We've just got to put a little label on it. It's labelled D2, so I'm just going to put that on here, just like that. I'll keep the motor there because that's all there is to do in that stage. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be putting the first bit of housing on. This is the port housing. It's labelled L for left again. And this time this is going to be going at the end of these sections here where this wire is. Now it goes this way round. So when I put this in, it's going to just fit over the top like that. Don't worry too much about the propeller wire at the moment. Now we're going to be fitting that down with 2 times 4mm screws. One in this side. You want to make sure that you can get to this wire. That's it. Excellent. And then just one on the other side. Now we're going to repeat that for the starboard side one, which is labelled R, which looks like that, and that's just going to go on the other side here. Now we need to remove bracket C from the frame here. Now this has some little tabs on it, so you want to make sure that you connect it or take it off this sprue in the correct place. So then we want to take this clip here from the frame looking like that, and holding it this way up, we're just going to be putting that over the 2 raised screw sections that we've got in there. We've then got these cogs here. There's 3 of them to put inside these recesses. So we have one this side facing with the square side facing upwards, second one here, and the third one just in the other side there. We then want to take the port housing, again this is labelled with an L there for left, and that's just going to fit over the lug positions that we can see on each side here. Now that's going to be held in once again with 2 times 4mm screws. There's only going to take 2 of them, which means I am going to have to take this deck off now because it's getting in the way. Just into the points here. So that's the first one there. Here's the second one at the back. And then we've just got the one at the side there. So it's 3 screws in total. Now the joy of symmetry here says to me that we're now going to be doing the right hand starboard side exactly the same way. Now we're going to be taking the lower part of the gearbox housing looking like that. We've got a massive hole just here for the motor that we had in the last stage. And that's just going to go in this way with the wire heading off in this direction just into the top like that. This is going to be held in with some black screws, and they are 2 times 6mm screws. So I'll get these in. That's the first one. And here's the second one. And now I think this bit's going to be a little bit tricky because we're going to be fitting the pivot pins looking like this. Now if you can see down here, there's a little hole just in the top of those pivot pins. We want to make sure that fits upwards. So when I put this in, I'm going to balance it in just like this, just so it engages with the cog there. So when I turn it, the cogs move, but I do want that hole to be facing upwards there. Now we've got these tiny 2x3mm pins. What we're going to do, a little bit tricky, is we're going to want this pivot pin to go onto the propeller here. So I get the shaft of the propeller up, I'm going to push that into the pivot pin here, just like this, and we're going to be fitting the full length of this into the pivot pin. Don't worry about it seating properly at the moment, and then connecting it with a 3mm screw at the top that's going to bond that into place. Make sure it's nice and tight, and then as you can see, that is now attached to the pivot pin. Once we've done that, we're going to take one of the grips from the sprue, looking like that. We're going to put this flat into this section here, making sure that it has got good contact. There you go. Put a pin over the top, or this clip over the top. We're going to secure that in with 2 times 4mm screws to keep that nice and tight. And then that propeller is permanently fixed in place. You really want to make sure that's tight. And there's the second one. So now when that gear turns, it's going to turn the propeller. Now we're going to repeat that, exactly what we've done on the starboard side. And once again, I'm just checking when I turn this that the gear underneath turns, which it does, so that's good. And in exactly the same way, the third one's going to go onto the middle pin here. Make sure that sits in there absolutely perfectly. And then the last clip on the sprue, which I'll just cut off, will then go over the top of this, and it's held in by 2 times 4mm screws. And that's the second one. And then once again, I just want to make sure that when I turn this, the gear turns, which it does, as you can see there. Now we're going to be taking the housing with the motor and having it this way round. It's going to fit that inside the supports that we just put in, like that. Now we're going to be fixing that in with 2 times 4mm black screws here. It's 4 screws, and that's just going to fit onto the supports that we put in earlier. So that's 1. Got a little bit of a pinch there. There we go. 2. And then 2 just near the front here. That's number 3. And number 4 just over this side. Now we've got these cog shafts here. We've got 2 medium-sized one long one. Now the medium-sized one's going to be fitting into this side here, into the cog at the bottom. The same on the other side. Make sure it goes into that cog at the bottom, and then the longer one is going to go into the center exactly the same way into the cog at the bottom, like that. We then got these more silver shafts. They're going to go into either side of the gearbox housing there, which just leaves this little one yet. Now we need to keep that to one side, and we're going to start putting the gears in. So the first gear we want is the one with the crosshead on, like that. That's going to fit over the top of the motor there to lock that into place. Then we want to take the next cog. Now this cog looks like this. It's got a round center. That's going to go next to this one, so that the teeth engage with the cog next to it, just like that. Now all the other cogs are similar sizes, but they're going to intermingle exactly the same way with the one that we've just got there. So I'll put this one on here. Even remember, it's shaped, so these are square now, but we do need to make sure that they meld with the gear next to it. So that's one this side. These go over all the square peg ones, and one this side over here. Again, making sure the flat sides are facing up. And then the last one we got is a round cog, bigger than the rest, which is just going to go over to this central one here, making sure that it engages with the gears either side, just like that. Now with the short little shaft that we got left, that's just going to go into the motor one there, balanced up like that. And now we need to fit all this together by putting the case on. And when we put the case on, we want to make sure all these shafts are going into these sections here. So this is going to look just like this. And there we go. They're all locked in. Thank God, that was quite hard. The hard one there was actually the little shaft that we put in. But we're going to hold that together now with 2 times 6mm screws. These are the black ones. And it's going to take 4 of these. So that's 1. It's just a shame we're not really going to be getting a way to test these yet. But it is going to be good to see these all fired up and moving. And I know the first thing you're going to be writing in the comments is, Wayne, make sure you put some grease on those gears. Well, I will do that. The reason I don't do it while I'm doing the filming is because I will get grease absolutely everywhere. So I will take this top off and just grease the gears up afterwards. But that is the end of that stage. There we go. I think I've managed it because it's just this section that we're working. And the first thing we need is the cog support, which looks like this. That's just going to go over these 2 points just here, this way round, like that. Now, because this is the rear of the ship, it is worth noticing this is the port side, this is the starboard side. Now we're going to put a cog into the port side hole just here. Now when we put this in, we want to make sure that the teeth here are pointing down and these teeth here pointing towards the middle. So this is going to go into the center like that. We're then going to be taking a rudder here, inserting that from the bottom into this cog here. So that is now sitting perfectly in place. And as you can see, when I turn it, that actually turns. We need to put that in place. So I should have thought about this first. I need to take out some screws. These are a PWM screw. I should have had them out ready, shouldn't I? So it's going to hold that rudder again and then secure this in just from the top here. Now it is shaped, so you shouldn't be able to turn this when it's in there. So that's perfectly aligned where it needs to be. Just make that tight. Excellent. So that's that rudder in place. We're going to do exactly the same with the other one. Again, teeth down. This is the one that's labelled R. Rudder up through the bottom. Might be better actually just to put the rudder in first because it has got a shape at the top, so it doesn't let you, it lets you align it perfectly. Just like that. And again, we can load a screwdriver up with a PWB screw and get this screwed in. Nice and tight, and there we go. That's the two rudder gears in place. Then we're going to be taking the motor, so I'm going to undo the wire here. We have got a little sticker to put on, and that's labelled D1. Then we're going to be taking this cog. As you see, one side's got a lip. That's the side that's going to go down towards the motor. So we're going to put this into place here. Just push that on, like that. And we want to rotate the motor around so it looks exactly like that, so it's centered. Then it's a case of just putting this over the top here, making sure the teeth engage with both of those rudders, which looks absolutely perfect. And once again, we're going to hold that in place with some of the PWB screws. I had to say, I had no idea this had rudders. So as well as the propellers turning, we've got the rudders turning as well on a motor, which I think is pretty impressive. But there we go. That's the two rudders in place. And that is all there is to do in that stage. So I'm just going to tip all the parts out here. We're going to need this housing here. We're going to be putting a spindle into this hole just here. Now out of the two spindles that it provides in this pack, the one we want is the smaller one. So that's just going to go in there like that. Then we've got a cog with a brake tab on that looks like that. That's going to go onto this with the brake tab facing upwards. Now we do want that brake tab aligned like it is in the picture. So to me it's at 12 o'clock in our 12 o'clock position. Then we're going to be taking the cog with the shaft already built into it and putting it this way round. That's going to go next to it to engage that. Then we've got this switch to put in, which is labelled D8. So there's two labels here. You've got D7 and D8. It's the D8 one that we want. So I'll label this switch up. And then the switch is going to go in this way round, just into this section here. So it will get caught on that tab as it goes around. Now I've lined it up just like the picture there. Put that to one side because we're going to now put the anchor chain around this cable reel, which looks like that. So I've untangled it, and you've got a ring here. Just put the ring over the center part here and push that all the way down. We're going to put the larger shaft that we've got down through this And then to piece that together, we've got the other side of it, which has got a notch, as you can see in there. That's going to hold the other side of the chain. So when I piece these together, just like that, it should look like that there. And all we want to do then is just wind the anchor chain around, and all I'm doing is turning this. Now when we've got this, we're going to bring over our gearbox again, and this is going to go into the last hole that we've got here, making sure that the teeth engage like they have. Look, my little switch has fallen out there. Again, we need to put that to one side because we need the motor now, and we're going to be putting the other label, which is D7, on here. We've got a spindle that looks like this to put on the end of the motor. As you see, you've got a cross section there, so this just goes on like that. And then bringing over our little gearbox here, it's quite a compact little thing, this one, isn't it? We're going to put the motor in this way round, so the wire's going away from the gearbox. And again, make sure the teeth engage with this, just like that there. I'll put this back in. I don't know if I can do this while it's lying down. I'm hoping I can, because I'm about to close this up with the other side here. So hopefully we can do this in one go. And this is going to be held together with the long black screws here. So we've got two here. That's one. That one's just held it together there. One at this side. And finally, just one in the top corner. Excellent. So that's the gear housing in place. Now we're going to be creating the anchor, and to do that, quite simply, we're just going to be taking the shank and the anchor head, putting this through this way like that. So now we've got an anchor there, and then we have got the new tabs that they gave us, which look just like that, really tiny things that we're going to need to put on one side of the anchor, one side of the chain. So what I'm going to do first, I think, is put the anchor one on, and then I'll put it on the chain. So we've got the anchor on. Now we don't want to attach the chain yet, we want to keep that hanging, because we need to put that through the hole that we've got just at the side of the port side of the ship here. So I've got my tweezers like that, and then place this into place on the lug at the bottom. Probably best to look at pictures for this, just so that's lined up, and that's going to be held in with two of the silver screws. And then all we're going to do is attach the anchor. Now believe me, tweezers are your friend. There we go, that's on. I'm just going to revolve the ring around like that, and there we go. The anchor's on, as you can see there, and that is all there is to do in that stage. Now we have got quite a few photo etch details here, so I'll get these all off first as well. Okay, if there's ever a time you're going to need magnifying glasses, it's right now. So first thing I'm going to do, I've got my duckbill pliers here. We're going to be bending the tabs of these ladders up at 90 degrees. So we've got some tabs here. They're just going to be bent at 90 degrees like that. Got one in the middle as well, I believe, which I'll use my smaller tweezers to do the bend on this one. And there we go, they're in place. Now we do that with all of them except for the second one along, which looks like this. And what we do, it's got two bends at the bottom. So one bend for the tab here, is going to go that way, but the one at the bottom is a U-bend. So bend it once at the end at 90 degrees, and then the next one down at 90 degrees, so it forms a hook. All the rest we just bend at 90 degrees. So the first thing we need is the upper mast section, which is the middle of this sprue here. And we need ladder 7, which is the longest ladder we've got. And I'm just going to do a test fit to see how they go in. And when you're happy with how that looks, we're going to glue this into place. So just a dot of glue into the holes there. So one there, one down the bottom, and we'll get this into place. Now we've got a short spar to cut off. See, that's this one here. That's going to go over the section that we fed the ladder through, just this tiny section here. So a bit of glue on there, making sure that's at 90 degrees. We want to flip this upside down, and we're going to be putting the larger one just onto that point there. So I'll cut that off the sprue as well. Bit of glue again, and that's just going to go on that section there. That looks really good actually. There we go. Then we've got the aerial to fit on top. Now that looks just like this, but we do need to make a bend. The central prong, so it's got a flat section for us to put this on. So it looks like that. I'm going to apply some glue just to the top of this mast deck here. And I'll put this on top, just into the center of that section there, again making sure it's straight. Something they don't show in the pictures, but they are slightly off center to each other. These are, this is on this center line here, this one's on the main center line, so there is a bit of a deviation around there. I'll double check that, that's definitely correct. Now we need the middle mast section, which is on this frame, and that's this one here. We also need this spar support, which looks like that, because we're going to be connecting what we've done already to the spar support, which is going to go through this hole here like that, and then on the other side we have got the middle mast section here like that. So they're all going to fit together, which means I need glue. And there we go, looking good. We need the last spar on the frame here, and that's going to be resting on the top of this spar support here. So I'm going to drop some glue in, but the 3 little notches you see here is where it's actually going to be positioned. There we go, and that's that in place. Now we've got a rail to put in, which is rail G on this, which is this small thing here. That's going to go into the holes in the middle here, one here and one there. That looks good, so that's in place. Then we've got this other really tiny antenna here. That's just going to go into this central section here. So there we go. That's that small tiny aerial in place. God, this is very detailed work. Let's lay that down again, because we need the base of that middle section. Now the larger side of this platform needs to go towards the spur that we've got there. So when I put this in, I'm going to drop some glue just around this hole here, insert this in like that, because we've got the lower section of mast just to put onto the bottom of that section. Again, some glue around here, and then when we put this in, make sure that the flat side here is facing up towards the spur that we put in. Now we need ladder 10, which is the smallest of the ladders. And you just need to line this up just to see how it fits. When we're happy with the fit, which I am, put some glue in there and we can put that ladder in. We can lie that down, because we're now going to be making a safety barrier from this bit of a photo etch part here. So I need to bend this into the shape that it needs to be. You want to bend that in such a way that the details are on the outside. And this is going to be going into this box here. So I'm going to drop some glue, box platform I should say, like this. And it goes in front of that ladder. Just like that. That's got in absolutely perfect. Now on the open side of that barrier, we've got this section here, which we're just going to be putting over the tabs. This has got to be one of the most detailed models I've done, and you can see that for the amount of work that it's taken to actually put these in. And that one's gone in perfectly as well, like that. Then we've got another ladder to put in just underneath. That's the second smallest ladder. Again, just check how this goes in. When you're happy, put some glue in there. There we go, that's that ladder in as well. Then we've got a signal lamp, which is still on the sprue here, so I need to cut that off. And the signal lamp support, which is right next to it. We need to put this into place, so what I'll do is I'm just going to dot some glue just at the bottom of the signal lamp here. Make sure I put this in the right way to the picture of the base. Now that is going to go into the gap that we saw when we put that ladder in. Again, drop some glue in there and put this into place. Again, making sure it's straight. And there we go, that's the signal lamp in. Now just below that signal lamp, in the hole that we have got a platform to put in. Now when you put the platform on, you want to make sure that the little hole in the side, there's a little hole in the left side, is going to be towards this side of the aerial. Then we're going to be putting the ladder on, which has got the hook at the top. Then that's going to go into that hole that we could just see at the side. And it's just going to hang down. That's why I put some glue at the top. So that will, I've got it in there. I'm going to let it hang. And then let the glue do its job there of keeping that in one place. All we're going to do then is we've got railings here. And that's just going to go around that section there. And when that's in, that should look like that. Now we need to bring over the superstructure deck, which is just here, and this is just going to go into the slot that we can see just there. So I'm going to drop some glue just into that part there. Now the ladder that is free here, we've got a tab just on this side here, and that's going to go in. So I'll put that in now. Now we're going to be taking the antenna shaft, which is this middle one here on the sprue. And that's just going to go into the hole at the front of the mast here. Make sure that's straight. Excellent. And then we've got these two vent pipes here. And probably best to look at the pictures, but they're going to go either side of the shaft that we just put in. Now you've got a hole in the shaft at the side here, and you've also got a hole down the bottom. The two pegs of this are going to go in. So here's the first one. One down the bottom, one on the side of the shaft. And that's the first one in place. And we do exactly the same on the other side. Let me just show you what that looks like. There we go. And there you go. They are both in place, looking like that. Then all we've got to do then is put these struts here into the boat supports that we have on each side, and they just go across the center there. So again, a little bit of glue in here, just onto these sections, 1, 2 and 3. So when they're all in, they should look just like that. Now all we've got to do now is make 4 twin AA guns, and we're going to be putting those just into these points, 1, 2, 3 and 4. And you see, even I make mistakes because I've just broke off the top antenna here. Let's put that back in place. So to do that, all we do, I'll make one and then show you what it looks like when we've got the other ones done as well. So we take a housing just like this, we put a gun through like that there, put a bit of glue just around the recess here, just like that, then bite this into place. So now that can go up and down, and that's one completed. We're going to repeat that 4 times. So there you go, all 4 of those are done. So there's just a case for now just to put these into these holes on the side. We probably will have some rubber grommets like we did at the last superstructure part of the decks to keep these into place, but I'll put the other 2 in here. That looks absolutely brilliant, and that is all there is to do in that stage. The next bit of decking, that bit's easy, looking like that, and we've got sprues. We've got lots and lots of sprues. The rest is railings by the look of it. The sprues here are grey and black, and then we've got normal grey ones here. I have got my sprue cutters, and I'm going to need my glasses here. Right, so we want to take section D, which is this large section here first. Put my glue, let's find a nice hole into this hole here. This first one is going to go underneath these lines here, and it's going to fit in just like that. So I'm just going to be dropping some glue, hopefully, into the holes here. Definitely this way round. Hold it for a second, and there we go. That's in lovely. Okay, the second one, we've got 2 lugs here. It's pretty easy to see how this goes. We've got one here, one here. It can only really go on one way, so there we go, that one's on. Right, take the 3 identical skylights. So that's talking about these ones just here. Going to get those off. Okay, so these ones, they're going to be going on this side, and you can just about see the outline of where they're going. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue just around the edge, and they go in here now. Just checking how they've got it. They've got this one going perpendicular, or sorry, it's going parallel with the decking, because it has got sort of grills on it, so they can only go one way. I'm actually putting the glue inside the trough. Now I appreciate on camera you probably can't see that there is a little trough there for me to put this in. That way I can ensure that the glue is not going to spill anywhere. Number 2. And finally number 3. I like using, I've never used a needle, it's always been a pin. But the advantage of using a needle in there is obviously you've got the eye hole for the needle, and the eye hole for the needle is actually holding the glue better, so it does go in nice and neat. Right, we've got 2 smaller skylights now. Get them off. I'm going to have my vents going the same way as the one I just put in earlier. As you see, my glue sticks quite quickly, but there you go, they're in like that. Then we've got some guns to put in, and these are going to be facing inwards towards that. So again, glue in This is going to go in that way. Just going to make sure it's straight. Excellent. Perfect. And then the same way on the other one, facing the other direction. So that looks like that. Right, now we've got these tiny, what are they? Depth charges, these are. And you see we've got loads of black ones, loads of grey ones. So I need to cut off 4 of these grey ones here. So I will click the camera back over while I do that. This is going to be going behind this square piece we put in here. You see we've got 4 holes in there. So what I'm going to do is fill them up with glue straight away. Even though this is a quick setting glue, it will sit in the holes quite happily until I get these in. I am going to use my fingers. If it gets too fiddly, I've just actually bought brand new tweezers. So, matter of fact, while I've got them, let's see if it's any easier. Now, if anything, this is where they go off in all directions. Whoops, see what I mean? Perhaps it is better to use my fingers. Hang on. Put number 2 in. These ones are slightly different shape to the other ones, but they're going to be going all around this section here. As a matter of fact, we've got 3 down this side as well. So I am going to have to cut off a few more. 1, 2, and 3. So they do, I'll show you on the top camera, they're more accented if you get them wrong. I'm going to cut off another 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got to cut the rest of them off basically. They are all in place. Yay! Right, I'm going to put this to one side. This is where things are going to get a little bit hard because I've got to bring over this. Now I think I am going to change the camera here. Stand by. Because I've got to put some details. Hopefully you can see this on this edge here. Now the details I've got are these grey depth charges I've got left, so I'm going to cut all of them off. As you can see, I've got some holes just around this section. That's where they're all going in. They're only on the one side, so let's put some glue in there first. Next one, that one's got in perfect, and we're just going to keep putting these in. Next one, see this one's right under the paravane there. There we go. That one's in. 2 more. This one here. And lastly, one right at the far side here. So we want 2 of the railings which are on this photo etch at the moment. I'm just seeing how they come off. So I've got 2 that have got the bend in. So where are these going? Let's try and figure this out. Right, they're going to be going on this edge here. So they're going to be going around here. So this one that I've just bent will be going in here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes for this to go in. And I think I'm going to put it in this end first. There you go. That's the first railing in place. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Spin that round. We're going to be doing exactly the same on the other side here. Push it down, make sure it's all the way in. We've got another bit of railing to put on there. And that's the ones that are going. Stand by. Let's go figure this out. That's going on these guns here. So the railing's going to be going over this section here. So I'm going to keep this on that camera, I think. Sorry, my hand was in the way then. But that's that railing in place. 1 in there, 1 in there, 1 in there. Sort of training it round as you put it in, you see. That's the last 2 bits that we've got here. I'm just going to get them out the packet. Just see how these look. So this one's going to be going on this one here. Let's get some glue in there. Which means just need to take out that section there. and put one, and then I believe that is all there is to do. As you can see there, let's just flip the camera back in stage 126. And let's continue. So where did we get to? We did this in the last stage. So we're doing the all of these little details around the front. And we're going to be continuing that, but we're going to be doing it on this page here. Lots of details suddenly appeared on this section. Right, it gets fun now because don't need my glasses on. We get to join another 2 empty sprues, just so you know. I'm showing you them because I've got a habit of chucking things away. We're going to be joining these 2 bits of deck together. So this, quite simply, is just going to go over the top there. And it's going to be held in with these screws. These are just PB screws. We're going to need 4 of these. But there you go. Looking good, huh? So they've given us these photo etch parts to do, which look like this. You know what? I'm gonna put this white bit of paper down so you can actually see what I'm doing here, because I'm going to be bending this around, but it bends in a really weird way. That looks good. Check that out. Happy with that. This is going to be going into this section just like that there. I'll put them 2 in first while I go very quiet. Second one is going around here. Get these 2 in. That's the easy bit. Oh, that one's a harder one. 3, 4, 5. Excellent. All the ladders are done. So let's get these on. That's in. That's gone in. First time. So there we go. They're the 2 ladders at the front are now in. One that side and one that side. And that is all there is to do in that stage. So everything we need is in here. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to just put some glue into this trough here, because we are going to be gluing some parts together. I'll put that to one side because I'm going to need that shortly. And the first thing we need is the turret housing, looking like that. And we also need these 2 little tiny parts here on the sprue. So we get these off first. And these are going to go either side of the turret here and on the other side here. So I'll put some glue in here. Got my tweezers to help me out here, because these are really tiny, and push these in. So when they're in, they look like that. We've then got some ladders to put on the side. Now these are photo etched, but these have already been created and bent for us. So these are going in these little tiny dots here. Like that. And we're going to do exactly the same on the other side here. Coming together already, isn't it? We then got some range finders to put on, and they're going to go on these platforms here. So once again, let's put in some glue just around both sides of this, on there and on the other side here. I mean, my glue dries really quickly, but to be honest with you, it's not instantly quick, so I am able to do that like that. This is what the range finders look like, and the detail part points towards the open section of the turret here. So they're going to go just in this way here, one on this side, and then this one on the other side here. Put that to one side, and now we're going to be creating the barrels. So once again, I'm going to put some glue just inside this section here. And again, probably one of the most important parts of this build, because these are quite prominent on the build, is when we put these barrels in. They are metal. Put them in just like this. 1, 2, but make sure they are perfectly straight and symmetrical in there, which mine are. Looking good. Otherwise you're going to get wonky guns, which you don't want. Now at the bottom of this barrels here, we've got a clutch shaft that's going to go in, that's going to fit perfectly into that groove, and that's going to be held in by this shaft. That's going to go all the way down to put that into place. It fits into the cross section there, so when it's in, it's perfectly flat like that. Now we're going to mount this on the plate here, taking a spring here, putting the spring over that shaft like that, then putting the barrels in, making sure it's the right way round. You want it so that the dome section here is facing upwards. Then this is going to go in here like this. Then make sure that clutch is going to be engaged into the hole at the end. Just manipulating this around. And then we're going to be putting a housing in place just to keep that in. Now the larger section here is just going to encompass the clutch section here, and we have got a sort of like a tab down the bottom which is going to locate this exactly where it goes. So there you go, that's in like that. We're going to secure that in with PB screws. Now they come with this pack, they're secured from the other side here, so one in this side and then one just on the other side here. So there we go, that's in place. Now we're going to get the motor here, take the wire off this. You know what, this always reminds me back in the 80s when we used to have bin bags, and to tie them up they would give you loads of these little wires. Showing me age again there, they've all got drawstrings now. God, when I do these builds I talk about the most random things. Okay, so put this sticker on. This sticker says D3, as you can see there. We're going to engage the motor with the cable upwards into that cross section there. So that's in just like that. And then we're going to be sealing that off with a cover here. That's going to go over the top of this whole section here, held in with PB screws again. So one there and one here. Now this whole section is going to be going into the housing that we did last time with this section facing up. So this is going to go in like that, making sure, most importantly, that the two tabs here and on the other side here are fitting over that little bridge so it's free to seesaw there. And then we're going to put the top on by threading the wire through here, making sure it's on the right way, so it should be this way round, and that's going to fit over the top to keep that in place. Once again, that's held in with 6 PB screws. So there you go, that's all in, and that's all there is to do with the gun section. I'm going to bring over the deck that we've been working on, the aft deck that we were working on last time. We've got a barbette here to put in place. So once again, we're just going to put this in like we've done for all the rest of them. Just work your way around here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. That's in perfect. Now we need to put all of this to one side because we've got to bring over the ship again. Now I don't know if they've realised there's been a mistake previously or not. I haven't got a clue. But they want us to remove this motor that we put in place here. So I'll get the screws out here, because we've got some little washers here that they want us to put in place of that, just to lift that slightly. So to do that, we're actually lifting the motor. So what we're going to do is take the motor out, put the washers over the top of these sections here, one there and one here, and then place this back on top. There we go, the motor's engaged, so I can just put these screws back in. So not sure why we had to do that, but that's done, and that's all there is to do in that stage.
And there you go, that's loads together. So there's just 12 stages to go, and that's going to be on the channel soon. I am going to separate doing the rigging for the crane and then the rigging for the ship, because that's going to take hours and I don't want you to watch a 10-hour video. So I'm probably going to do a couple of bits a day and then I'll put that all together. So you will see a lot of continuity errors when we come to do that. But that's coming soon. So once again, if you want to get this for yourself, I have put the link down here to the Agora Models website. You can get this all the way from pack 1. Other than that, I really do hope you like that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Take care.